Uh, I appreciate that, fam. I appreciate that. All right. Hey, everybody, thank y'all for joining. I'm going to give y'all just, again, this is at least a 3-hour workshop here, at least this subject matter, this content, this book. I don't know if y'all are familiar with the text, but it's pretty hefty. It's pretty uh, 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 comprehensive. We don't really refer to it as a book, actually. We refer to it as a guide, as in the title, because the idea is not that you read it and you're done. It's really to be a resource for the educator, for the school building over the years, over the next 25 years. In fact, you're probably going to hear it is frequently out of my mouth, 25 years. That's a measurable time that I feel like we can make some things happen. We can move the needle in reference to equity, justice. And so that's why I'm speaking in that time frame quite often. In this book, in the companion book, which Isaiah mentioned, which is now actually officially out, Teaching Beautiful, Brilliant Black Girls, were both designed, again, to be resources, to be guides for the educators. And so this book specifically came out of my interest, some of my dissertation around Black football players, my own personal interest as a Black male in the public school sector, and really being in Iowa, getting my PhD at the University of Iowa, teaching in the teacher prep program. And for the 4 years I was there, maybe having a sighting, maybe a sighting of maybe 10 in 4 years, people of color coming through that program. The vast majority, again, this depends state by state, but in Iowa, the vast majority of our school teachers are white, and the majority of them are white women. So that's really what we're trying to accomplish here. Again, not to villainize, not to demean, but to say, how can we do better? And so what I'm going to give y'all a sense of is what we've tried to do in that project. But keep in mind, this is a longer, much more lengthy presentation. And of course, I want to be able to leave some time, excuse me, so that we can have some conversation, some interaction from y'all. Okay, so again, as I did previously, this is my contact slide, a way to get a hold of me if you want to stay in touch. So please reach out. So let's get started. This is our model. This is our framework for designing the book. Understanding, you got to know who you are. White woman teacher, educator in general, because we're finding it's not just white people, white women a part of these inequities, these gaps Black boys in this case are facing in schools. It's not just white people. It's not just white women. I want to be clear about that. But because of the title, that's where we're starting, saying, white woman, know who you are. Understand who you are, what you bring to the table. Secondly, respect. Know that the Black boys come from some complexities as well, that they're not all athletes. They don't all rap. You know, some of those archetypes, those stereotypes out there, really pushing them, challenging them to get to know the complexity of the Black boy. And lastly, most importantly, I think, this is not about extra credit. If you're a professional educator, professional teacher, then you should be able to work with all your clients, all your students. Now, I know you can't be all for everybody. I get that, but at least there should be some willingness to expand, to grow. This shouldn't be treated as an extra credit topic, a burden to your job. This is your actual job. Connecting is really about good teaching. So that's our framework. That's what we're operating by. That's the way the book was organized in this model of understanding, respecting, connecting. Glenn Singleton, along with Heather Hackman, wrote the opening, and we really wanted Glenn to participate because we wanted him to set the tone, to say nothing's wrong with these Black boys. These are actually doctors, lawyers, astronauts. Like there is, research that shows that in the pre-K, when you assess students of color, white students, that they're at the same intellectual capacity. In fact, in some cases, the kids of color show some more advanced learning ability when you do these assessments. So nothing's wrong with these kids. It's not like they have deficits, and we wanted to be really affirmative in the start. You have an astronaut in your mix. The question is, can you assist, support, partner with the end result, reaching the highest level possible? As Nina Simone put it so eloquently in her song, Young, Gifted, and Black. Affirmative. Here's my question for y'all. Quick survey of this small group. Y'all ready? Give me a yes or no in the chat. Can white women produce Black genius, Black excellence out of Black boys? Can they do this job? Those of you who may be parents, are you a fool to leave your kid in the hands of a white woman, a white teacher, in today's challenges in this subject matter, around this subject matter? Or do you believe they can do this job? All right, this is a question we often put out at the beginning of the workshop for particularly white teachers, and some days I get crickets in the air. I mean, we argue as a team, absolutely, no hesitation, with confidence. In fact, I'm living proof that you, white teacher, can turn a crackhead into a PhD. Like, you can do this job, but it can't be me. It can't be the parents or those who've experienced it that are the ones that believe it. You got to believe it. And we want to instill that confidence, particularly in the 1 to 5 year teachers, that they are pushing back on us. They're arguing with me when I say, I don't know if you could do this job. That's the kind of confidence we want them to have. What we're trying to accomplish in that 3, 5 hour, 8 hour professional personal development, if we have that time. Just so you can get a sense. I would ask y'all again midway. Then I would ask you again at the end, and I would hope the answers would come faster. They would be bolded, and there'd be 25 exclamation points behind them. Similarly to a little bit of what I got there from Susan. It was kind of, that's kind of quiet, yes, but I'll take it. I'll take it, Susan. It's a start. I like those bolded ones. You know what I'm saying? Not that you knew that, but that's where we want those young teachers to be confident. That makes sense? All right.
Yes, we can.
Yeah, that's what I'm feeling. That's what I'm feeling.
And we did.
That's what I'm talking. I'm feeling that answer. I'm not getting your answer, Susan. I'm feeling your answer.
Good.
That's what I'm talking about. Okay, great. Let's get y'all through some of this information here so we can give y'all a sense of what the book is about. Oh, these are not bad kids. I mentioned that from an intellectual standpoint, but bad meaning like the way we often characterize Black boys. I mean, there's a great research project out there called American Promise. If you haven't seen it, check it out. It's a good resource. It's a great film. The parents, Black doctor, multiracial mom, psychologist, they filmed their kid from kindergarten to 12th grade in a private school, super private, independent school in New York City. This is the film that unfolds from that filming. And they do some great resources, some curriculum, some conversations, but it speaks to the point that when you watch what happens to this kid, it's not American Promise. I call it the American Nightmare. And everything's in place. Both working parents, professional parents, they have dinner with the kids. They're at the school. They have all the resources they need. And we're still watching this challenge unfold. This disconnect, white teacher, white woman teacher, Black boy, and the lessons they learn from there. So this is a great project that helps people to understand that we're not talking about the bad kids in those neighborhoods, where we still, as Chris Emden put and has put out in reference to some of his work, Teaching in the Hood. I mean, we should be giving some focus to that, but these challenges are happening in the places and spaces where all the resources are there. That's something we want to point out. Let's get at some of the pieces that we're looking at. Understanding. I mean, if you don't believe the stats and facts, when I send it to you, click on that link, it'll show it to you. Right? If you don't believe the stats and facts, click on this link. It'll show you even more. Right? So we had to put some stats and facts up there just because, educators want the numbers. we used to put these in the back, but sometimes because of my energy, my passion, people would wonder if the book was about a personal perspective or if there was any real research associated with it. So we front loaded the presentation from then, since then, to really put the stats and facts up front. And this is coming from the SHOT Foundation, just to give you a sense of what some of this research looks like, just so people can begin to see. All right, you can look at your state. It's kind of like what Rides did at the beginning, showing all the places they've been, right? You can look at the states, right? Green means they're doing a good job. Red means help. In the words of the Beatles, I need somebody, right? If you're rolling in a DJ fashion, right? All right, so you see the map there. So you could click on your state. Now, I live in Wisconsin. It's red. The 4-year graduation rate, Wisconsin, for Black boys is 59.2%. Okay, so wherever you are, Isaiah, he's in Iowa. Let's go there. 63.2%. Y'all see that? You see what I'm pointing at, right? Now, keep in mind, Iowa is green. They're saying that's good news. Now, if you want, you can go to the left here and you can see, you can go to Latino and you can get another look there in reference to Latinx, or you can go to white. And then the map shows you there. Okay, so it's a real good map SHOT Foundation put out years ago, just as a way to give people some numbers. That's what we're trying to do here, what you're looking at there, just so people know, can you do better? Can your school district do better? Can your school do better? Well, it would be nice to know where your school is. Most people answer yes, and they have no idea what the numbers are. So we're saying, know where you are if you want to do better. Is 63% graduation rate, 4-year graduation rate, is that good news? So what are you defining as good? Because the map shows green. All right, so this is where we want to get people in the mindset of starting, is really with what are the numbers? You got to know the numbers if you want to get better. And most people argue, yes, we want to get better, but they have no idea what the numbers are. What we found in the Black Girl book, now y'all probably know this from Monique Morris's new work and her phenomenal work that's really started to shed some light on the experience of Black girls in school. Our newest project, the companion book, Teaching Beautiful, Brilliant Black Girls, that's what we're finding as well, what we found as well. Black girls are often overlooked in the sector of public school sector especially, but I would argue even in the private school, mainly because they're academically often better than the Black boys. They're usually doing much better. What's happening to them is a lot of times not on the outside. This is where we work with parents of students of color in general, Black boys as well, but specifically with Black girls, parents of Black girls, to make sure they're looking on the inside. They're asking them about how they're doing on the inside, because often their grade point average is pretty good. Their homework is done. Their test scores are pretty good. That makes sense? But this school to prison pipeline, the disciplinary interactions, the tension between white women teachers and Black girls, not a lot of folks are looking at that. So that's what we've been uncovering in that project. All right, so those are some of the challenges. We look at the first piece of that being all the stats and facts in the monumental challenges. And then I get back to my question, can she do it? Are we feeling good about leaving those monumental challenges in the hands of the current state of the white woman teacher? We feeling pretty good about that?
Black professional couple that videoed their son from kindergarten through grade 12 and made it into a movie.
Oh, sorry about that. All right. So we feeling pretty good about that? Oh, I was going to ask Mary if I have to mute there. All right. Oh, what is the current state of the white woman teacher? What's the profile in your state, in your school district, in your higher ed program? This is a piece of research that I want to update. I think we're still looking at 1980, 85, 90 research when it comes to the profile of the white woman teacher. I think we need an updated profile, but by and large, most people are saying what they said back in the 80s: white, monocultural, monolingual, limited exposure experience with the clientele, the students that they're facing, the challenges that they're facing. And in some cases, they have no business in that classroom with those kids. We're finding some schools, some classrooms where there are people who actually hate the kids that they're being asked to serve. So that's where we begin to look at understanding the white woman teacher. What's the complexity? What's she bringing to the table? Any thoughts about the current state, the profile of the white woman teacher based on y'all experience? Anybody want to give a little comment, question, reaction to how are you feeling about the current state of affairs when it comes to the white woman teacher and the stats and facts that we're demonstrating? I briefly give you a sense of in the Blackboard research.
I can answer a little bit about what I'm thinking as you're talking. That's that I think that we tend to bring ourselves and our experiences and our culture to the classroom without regard to where kids are coming from sometimes, and what their experiences and their culture is. And so it's a total disconnect because we're imposing experiences and culture on people who just don't have that experience.
So Lisa, how are you feeling about the next 25 years?
Well, typically I'm an optimist, but I am leery.
Leery, okay.
I mean, I'm living in Texas, so I'm leery.
Okay. Oh, I didn't tell y'all this, but I'm a school teacher. I mean, they named all those fancy titles, those fancy books, those fancy degrees, that fancy research, but I'm a school teacher and I will look you in the eye and call on you. So you can either volunteer the information to the professor, or I will look into this screen, stare you down, and I ain't afraid of that middle school stare either. But I don't let people sit in my classroom, beautiful, talented, and quiet. So I'll say, Sister Fortune, give me some thoughts. How you feeling about the profile, the current state of the white woman teacher, where you're at?
Yeah, so I'm in Virginia. So that gives you a profile. I think it's a very organic process. I think you have some white women teachers who are scared to death of being in the classroom now, just not knowing what to say, how to say it, when to say it, how to talk to parents of color, how to talk to children of color. So they have just closed down. Then I think we've got some on the journey between racism, not racism, and anti-racism. I think we got some folk on the journey, but I think some folk are stuck because you got a lot of peer pressure in the adult community. And some folk want to probably speak out, but they are afraid. Just like answering that question, I'm like, okay, wow, is this a political answer? Is this a heart? Is this a head? Is this a hand question? Because it takes all of that to work in equity. It's a head work and heart work and hand work. So I think we've got in Virginia, because of everything that's going on and just who we are, the state of the Confederacy, I think we got a lot of folks that still live in the past. I mean, we got so many points of celebration in Williamsburg. We're still celebrating, the transition of people of color coming over from Africa. So we still celebrate that here in the state of Virginia. And I think that has a lot to do. My first trip when I was a child in the 4th grade was to Williamsburg to talk about slavery, because that's what was in our educational formatting. So not only are we fighting this institutionally within a school setting, we're fighting this as a state. I mean, we got some lineage to slavery in this state. So it's a huge undertaking because you've got people that's embedded in a thought process, as I call it, kitchen table talk. And they got a lot of kitchen table talk that might not meet the needs of where we are right now.
All right. I just really appreciate you demonstrating why it's important to call on the students, because there's just knowledge out there. You know what I'm saying? Y'all just call on them. Sometimes they might grumble a little bit, but you just can't let that knowledge sit in there. Thank you for sharing that. Hoping, sparking up some reflection on all of us as we go back. Again, I'm not in the demonizing, villainizing perspective, mindset, spirit. I mean, that's just not how I operate. But I do think, I mean, here's what I've been asking as a father. I don't know if any of you are simultaneously professionals, but you also got your kids, your grandkids, your nieces, your nephews in the structure.
Mm-hmm.
You just hoping. You hoping. We had 4 Black moms in a presentation when the book first came out. And we were asking this question, how you feeling after Mr. And the sister came up and she said, Dr. Eddie, the problem with your question is people can't feel the message that you're trying to give, you're trying to relay. I mean, some folks don't know what it feels like to send your kid to school and be scared over the time that they're there. And if you can help people feel that in that question, then that might help. So I've got an exercise I'd like to share with you to take with you to share everywhere you go. And I was like, sis, come on up. So she came up, she brought a sheet of paper with her. She said, when my son goes to school in the morning, this is what he looks like. When he comes home at night, this is what he looks like. So I have to spend the evening, and she drops the paper on the floor, picks them all up. She says, I got to spend the evening putting them back together. And then she holds the paper up. She says, even when I got them together, the lines are still there. And then tomorrow I got to send them back. She said, I'm not in disbelief of the white woman teacher. I'm just saying this is what my fear is every day. And if people can hold on to that, just have a sense of what it's like to send you my most precious jewel, I think that would be helpful. And it was really helpful for me, powerful for me as a father, not just as an educator. And I've been saying to parents of color, especially Black parents of kids of color, Black kids, is you got to check on the inside. It's not enough to know the grades, the GPA. Okay. And we got a real challenge on our hands. What are the options? Okay. I'm going to give y'all some action items, some things that we share with teachers that we say, you got to know, you got to do. If you're going to get better, here's some things absolutely that we suggest that you do. But my question also is, will we ever have consequences to 63%? Can people continue to operate at such a deficient level when it comes to our kids? Maybe we should. I've been trying to work with some guys to start Black Excellence High. I mean, I want my own high school for Black boys. I'd like it to be boarding school, where any school having any problem with a Black boy, my motto is send them to Eddie. Send them to me. He cussed you out, I'll take him. He hasn't been to school in 20 days, send them this way. Black Excellence High. Everything's Black. Curriculum's Black. Furniture's Black. The chalkboard is Black. Everything Black. Just as an option. Maybe that's what we need. In fact, we know that segregation works. When you take girls away from boys, they do better. We have people who create segregated schools based on religion. Some schools, religiously, if you're not a part of the religion, you can't even work there. So I say, what are our options as we look ahead these next 25 years? Do we stick with the same model? These are the kind of things I'm hoping we can have some conversation. Again, not to say bad, not to villainize, but to say, should we create some options or should we stick with the plan? So let me give you those things and then we'll close out with some additional questions and comments and reaction. Number one, if you're gonna produce Black genius, you should know Black genius. So this is the Black genius slide. Okay, we're really working with teachers around just knowing Black genius, Black history. And again, it's not to say what you don't know, but what you can learn together with your kids. There are some people on this slide that I had no idea who they were before this book project. So I talked to teachers about, I'm still learning. For example, this guy. This is the inventor of the potato chip. His name is George Crumb. I had no idea. So we encourage teachers, you can start with Black History Month if you want. Let that be a place and space that you learn together. It's not about what you don't know when working with the kids. It's about what you can learn together. All right. And if you're going to do it Black History Month, then you should, at least there are some things you have to know. And this is one of them, which I'm sure all of you know, right? Right? It's okay if you don't. It's a learn together. Okay? So this is the inventor of Black History Month, Carter G. Woodson. It started as Negro History Week, expanded to Negro History Month, and now is what we know as Black History Month. Again, not to say what we don't know, class, but what can we learn together? Here's my point about options. And I ask y'all to consider this. All of these Black men reached their highest level possible. Some of them were ready for college at 16 in a model of segregation. Everything Black. Some of the greatest success we've had with Black boys becoming Black genius were from segregated models. That we at least should consider some of those options is all I'm saying. But the most important message here is, if you're going to produce Black genius, all educators, white educators, especially white women, more specifically for the purpose of the book project, then you should know Black genius. That makes sense? That's one skill. That's one thing we encourage. When we're doing our full day or our 2-day institute, we're spending time learning more. And not just for 28 days or 29 days in February, but I mean, Black genius, Black excellence creates things that stand over time, that impact the world. Like George Grant here, who invented the golf tee. That is a world used across the world. That makes sense? Great, great. All right. Second thing is, someone alluded to this early, you got to know Black women. I mean, if you listen to any story of a Black man who's overcome adversity, I haven't seen one yet that hasn't had a Black mama, a Black auntie, a Black sister, a Black cousin, or a combination of those things along that journey. We are working and challenging white women teachers to build relationships with Black women. And I'm not saying they'll say hello to you in Target. I'm saying they will cook you catfish on Sunday. That kind of relationship. And we are finding out that many white women have had some real troubled history with Black women. And so we bring women in from the community to talk about their experience. We, try to, over that day, those 2 days, just again, start to lay some seeds for the people who are attending the Institute locally to begin to have some relationship. We use Aretha Franklin. As many of you know, Aretha had her first kid at 11, 12, young. Second one at 13, 14. Single mom by the age of 16 with 2 kids. Now, everybody would have invited Aretha Franklin, the Queen of Soul, to their school. But how many people would have invited Aretha, a single mom of 2 kids, with open arms? So really working with folks around building those relationships, because you never know. Careful what you say to people, because you never know who you're talking to. To build those loving relationships, because I'm sure many of you can attest. You tap into the sisters in the neighborhood. Woo! You can roll through there at 2 a.m. and they got your back. You just let them know you coming and they got your back. So we're working on that. 5 Black women is the goal that we encourage all teachers to build relationships with the Black boys in their classroom, in their life, in their organization. Last one is real. You gotta know real stuff. You just gotta know real stuff. I should have put, this slide is actually a little outdated. I got Nipsey Hussle here. Y'all know who Nipsey Hussle is? Some of y'all might. You know DMX. Y'all heard of DMX? We just lost DMX early, right? Like you should have a conversation, like a song or something, even an edited version. I mean, DMX, he might have made at least one edited version song. I mean, I think he made at least one, right? Seriously though, just Black genius though, Black excellence, right? Nipsey Hussle, again, some trouble back and forth, but you can't deny the genius, the excellence, right? And kids, I think, will just have a different relationship with you if you have a connection to something that is relatable into their community, into their life, into their parents' life, their brothers, their cousins, their uncles. All right, can you lay down some cornrows? If not, you should at least know, don't put your hands on the cornrows.
Exactly.
Right? So just talking about some of the cultural dynamics, right? And are there some Black boys, our Black boys should know about? Or is it just complicated? And if they're Black genius, they should know Black genius. Sometimes with politics, with religion, it can get complicated. Some of y'all know what I'm talking about.
Ooh, I want to ask a question.
I hear you. Let me give you one more question. Let me give you one more that you got to know, then we'll get a question in there. All right. Now, listen, here's the thing that I also emphasize, that there are just some things you just got to know. And this is one Black man that every person, every kid in America should know. But definitely if you're working with Black boys, they should know, you should know, and they should know who this Black man is. Have y'all ever heard of the song Started from the Bottom, Now I'm Here by Drake? Y'all heard this song? If there's ever a reason to play that in your classroom, this is the reason why. This is a guy started from nothing, the richest Black man in America right now. Guess what? Nobody knows his name. Oh, well, y'all know. I know y'all know. Y'all know. Somebody tell me, who is it? Y'all know his story. Y'all know the story. Y'all may not know the name, but this is what I'm saying, right? Sometimes the people we absolutely need to know, we have no idea about. Now, if I ask you the richest white man in America, you may not know who exactly it is, but you can name at least 3 people. You could guess 3 names. You feel me? Okay. So just having some balance to that is all I'm saying. Okay. You know this guy's story though. This is the guy who paid the debt of all the graduates at Morehouse and their parents. And he's written a check already, $5.3 million, I think it was, 5.3, 5.5, something like that. And nobody knows his name. This is my why you should use cell phones in the classroom moment. So my students could Google it. And the first one that gets it out, give them a sticker gum or something, a little shout out, something right there. All right. So that I'm not going to give you the answer to. That's your classroom homework. And we'll see who says it or puts it out there first. Anyone? Any quick fingers, quick knowledge? All right.
Is it Smith? Robert S. Smith?
All right. Thank you very much. All right, Lisa, appreciate that. Appreciate that. Your gum is in the mail. It's in the mail. All right. All right. I see we got some questions. So let me get to the end right here. We talk about understanding also white fragility. And some of this work is going to require some tough conversations. You got to check your fragility and really talking about that with Robin DiAngelo's work. and also trying to remind school teachers, white women school teachers especially, of the power that they possess. Often when the police kills a student, kills a Black boy, we see that in the headlines, but how many folks in the front of that classroom are, in the words of Bettina Love, spirit murdering every day? Trying to remind particularly 1 to 5 year teachers of the power they possess by calling on that hand. Woo! You are transforming lives. And so really want them to be having some real confidence and some real pride in being both good trouble, dangerous, and powerful at the same time. So, all right, we got questions. The next part is respecting, which is what I talked about, some of the diversity, complexity of Black boys, the stats, the facts. After that is connecting, which is just some stuff about the curriculum. I mean, it's a lot. Close your eyes if you can't stand the flashing lights, because that's what you're gonna see here. Is I'm just giving you a little sense of the talented and gifted, the deficit model, the stereotypical looking at saggy pants, seeing Black boys as older. I mean, the disparities in the disciplining that's happening in preschool. Also, some opportunities to see Black boy performers outside of rap music that people may not know about. Talking about this concept of code switching, which, I mean, a lot of folks are dealing with all the time, but Black boys, especially when it comes to high achievement, academic achievement, and how to manage that, have conversations about that. Don't change names, know names, understand names. This is a little tool, just a website to do that. So I'll share all of this with you. Some of our interviews, we're learning from Black boys. We want to hear from them. So it's not just quantitative, it's also qualitative work and research coming from them. This is, again, good teaching. Some of the N-word, some of the things about that, some of the racial identity, white privilege. I mean, all of these things that we sometimes see coming up in the classroom. We also want to have some conversations about when talking about, again, connecting, which is just your job, doing your job. We did an educator's 21-day action plan, again, just to give them something they can do. More resources, some of which you saw overlap. No reason not to have a diverse library. And this is another resource there. Isaiah mentioned my new kids book. I was frustrated. There's not enough Black boys book out there. So I wrote one myself. So that's what you're looking at right there, is the Black boy book from me. And this is my contact slide. So, woo, all right. Questions. What do we got? Who was that? Somebody said, I got a question. I want to ask something. I heard you. I felt you.
It was me. You felt me.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So, we're talking about Black brilliance, but everybody, what is the operational definition for Black brilliance that everybody gets? Because I get that Tupac had Black brilliance, right? But everybody don't see rapping as a brilliant methodology of showing who you are. So how do you define the Black brilliance for people who don't see that talent as a brilliant piece of work?
Yeah, a great question. We just had our first PhD research done in a rap. I don't know if y'all have seen this, but it's been recorded. So I would encourage you to check it out. I don't have that link right now, but it's out there if you Google PhD rap. I think, again, it's a way to bring some real current event relevance to what we often see and how we often see people refer to rap music. Again, Black genius, Black excellence to me is the skill you have, you reach the highest level possible. And I think Lil Wayne is another example of that. Tupac, you mentioned, Chance the Rapper. I mean, Kanye's got some issues, but I can't take away from the fact that this brother's got some lyrical genius there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that skill that they possess, right? They reach their highest level possible. And again, I think it's okay to have that even athletically. I'm okay if that's where you see you having some real skill set, but knowing that being a professional athlete is not just physical. I mean, they are spending time in the classroom. They have to study their opponent, study the strategy, right? The skill you possess, you optimize, reach the highest level possible. That's why I'm saying to schools, it's not enough to graduate Black boys. What I'm wondering is, where are they in talented and gifted? I mean, what's their grade point average when they're done? Where are they going after graduation? Right? Are they at the highest level possible? Black genius, Black excellence. Sister Fortune, that's how I define that.
Thank you.
Any other thoughts, questions? I appreciate y'all joining me for the workshop session. If you want this session, if you want it, email me. If I can be a resource in any way, if this is a topic you're either studying or if you have some interest in, let me know. And please spread the word about our companion book. We're really excited about teaching beautiful, brilliant Black girls.
Are there any other questions or comments? We have about four more minutes left, and so here's an opportunity for you all. I have all kind of thoughts and things that I can throw out there, but I want to make sure you all who are part of this experience have an opportunity to ask questions that might be on your mind or thoughts that you might have.
I have something that's kind of been in my mind while you're talking, and that's it. I think that as a white woman, teaching Black kids, boys in particular, I think what I'm lacking is really an understanding of a lot of the things that I think I don't recognize as being exceptional. Like I don't know, like maybe I don't know things in the culture. So I'm not recognizing that one kid stands out or something that does as genius because it's like I'm not hearing the language. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I don't know how to go back and learn that, or, other than really working to get to know people, to develop these relationships, to talk to parents, to have relationships with parents and being able to be intimate enough to talk with parents to say, I'm not quite getting it. Can you help me figure this out? I mean,
Yeah, Lisa. Oh, go ahead, finish that. Sorry.
I'm just saying, I think it's a disconnect for me of, and not only a white lady, but I'm an old white lady. So missing out on a lot of the cultural things that maybe I would have picked up, 30 years ago that I'm not now because it's a younger culture. So just not knowing how to find that out.
Yeah, and being an old like football coach, basketball coach, often I used to have assistant coaches that could help me because the way I saw talent on the court, the way I recognized it was old school, was classic. And so I used to have to say, bro, can this kid play, right? Help me out. Is that you? Can we use that, right? So I think having some colleagues, having some folks you can be trusted to be honest with and say, I have no idea. This kid just rhymed 12 words in a row, and I have no idea I don't even know if I understood what he was saying. Can you help me out with this? Right? You got to be able to have somebody you can be vulnerable, you can be honest with, because sometimes, like you said, just because of proximity, it's not like you say, I can't wait to get to school and destroy a Black boy today. I can't wait to miss all the talent in my classroom for my kids of color. No, we know in many cases that that's not what's happening, that sometimes it's proximity, sometimes it's inexperience, it's lack of exposure. And so you got to have some third-party folks involved. Third-party folks. That's how I would respond to that. Was that it? I thought I saw a quick chat one. No, that was it. Simulation. What would be the best reading tools for educators? Noma, is that right? Am I pronouncing that right? Noma, please email me and I'll get you an answer to that question. But also in the slides, there are some resources, some links to some websites that have some information about the topic that you just mentioned. One that's dear to my heart, especially, is this topic of simulation and acting white, or whatever that means.
Thank you.
Yeah, great.
Yes, thanks.
Oh, I got, okay, Isaiah already put something in here. Thank you, Isaiah, I appreciate that. White teachers, not the opportunity of Black boys. How do we educate? We got to, can they do it? There's got to be a belief on their part, a belief on our part, and we have to keep chipping away. I always am a fan of another option too, because if we just keep getting the same results, we might want to try something new. I appreciate y'all. stay in touch. I'll see y'all around. And thank you again for joining my session. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, again,
Thank you.
Dr. Moore, we appreciate it, and we thank you for all that wisdom and knowledge and all of the ideas that we can kind of think on, and the resources especially as well too, because this is always an ongoing ongoing work for us. We never stop learning, we never stop growing in this or anything that we do. So it's appropriate that we would have that. So we appreciate you and your time. We love you, and we thank you for this opportunity to do this.